Holy freaking crap, it's actually finally here. The Nintendo NX has been revealed, and I'm here to tell you all the details, all the goods, all the impressions, and all the analysis. It is no longer called the NX, though. I'm still GhostRobo, but this is the Nintendo Switch, and I really like what they've done with it so much. I think it lives up to expectations and shows a polish and a focus and a vision that sometimes we don't see from Nintendo this millennium. So the Nintendo Switch is a handheld home console hybrid, as we all predicted and expected based on the rumors and leaks over the past couple of months. It is in effect, a 3DS and a Wii U merged together, but done with a lot more polish, and I feel a lot more adult appeal because of the form factor, because of the visual look and aesthetic. This looks like a very sleek and sexy thing that you would be happy to have in your living room or on your person or on a plane or on a bus. And while we don't know how it performs in the real world, it was a very demonstrative trailer that showed us a lot about the Switch. And we'll start with a logo treatment, which I think is a very cool and very catchy logo. It reminds me of a domino or a yin-yang, and it has just a very nice feel. That sound effect is like instantly recognizable. And in the same way that you know the Microsoft Xbox or the Sony sounds, you're going to know this Switch sound right away. Switch as a word has a little bit of an awkward ring to it. It's going to be a little bit of time before we're used to saying, hey, I'm going to play the Switch, but it's a great word. It has no connection to the Wii or the Wii U. It's very simple, and in the same way that people like to say Xbox or PS4, you can say, hey, I want this on the Switch. GameStop employees will be like, hey, do you want Skyrim remastered on PS4 or on the Switch? Hey, do you want NBA 2K18 on the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch? Do you want to play Xbox or Switch? And soon it will become just common part of our video game vernacular, and I like what they've done there because it really does embody the fact that this has, as far as the trailer shows, an instantaneous ability to switch from home console to handheld portable on the go. And that's because the cartridges are housed within the handheld at all times. The handheld docks inside of that base station, and then it allows you to play on the TV. And they showed a plethora of control options, which I think is really the golden ticket for hardcore gamers here. It shows that they have thought this through and aren't abandoning the AAA hardcore gaming fans and going for some like crazy just, hey, we want to really appeal to kids or mobile fans or be very mainstream. I mean, this still has great mainstream appeal, but I think by showing off the form factor of a variety of control options, you really it really emphasizes Nintendo's commitment to gamers. So what they showed was the ability to play this thing with the handheld controllers on sort of a foundation of basically like a pad or a controller. So when you're playing the game on the TV, you can take the two parts of the handheld controller and put them together and play that way. Then when you play on the handheld, you can attach the two controller halves to the edges of the handheld, and then it forms basically a tablet or a big controller with a screen in the center, which, by the way, looks insanely sexy. It is all black. It's very sleek. There's not a whole lot of gadgetry or gimmickry. It looks very, very clean. It looks like something you would buy, from Apple or from a high-end, Samsung, please God don't explode, phone. And then you can take those off and detach them for wireless, almost Wiimote nunchuck play, but with much more traditional form factor. But the coolest, and again, the biggest nod to hardcore gamers, is that there also is a dedicated controller that has nothing to do with this splittable handheld hybrid. It is what looks to be like a mix between the DualShock 4 and the Xbox One controller, and looks to be a very cool and very good controller. Form factor wise, placement wise, I really like the look of it, and I think it's something that will be sort of the main go-to option when you're playing these games at home or when I'm recording them, playing them, for YouTube. After that, we start to see actual usage of this in the real world and then games. So he first plays it at home, and then he picks it up, instantly switches, takes it on the plane. I think that's a great, really example of where this would be used. And for me in my life, transportation, most of my biggest transportation is flying. I don't do a whole lot of driving or busing, but flying I do a lot. So taking this on the go, it's got that built-in stand, and then you detach the controllers. Again, really showing that this wants to be an ergonomic addition to your life that fulfills your gaming need no matter where you are. And I think that's the greatest gift of the Switch, is that this can be the all system. This can be the all platform. It can be something that is utilized for every purpose. And that's further demonstrated when they show split screen multiplayer with a Mario Kart 8 remake, which again was predicted by Emily Rogers earlier in the year. and it's able to be played split screen. So you can take the controllers. I'm assuming you'll need two, because I don't know how else you would drive Mario with just the D-pad or just the button half. And then you can play that thing split screen, which is really, really cool. And based on the size of those detachable controllers, I'm guessing they'd be pretty cheap. Now, I wonder if you can take that full-on controller and pair that with the handheld and play it that way, so then you could have true like console gaming on the go with the controller that is more in line with what we're used to on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. But nonetheless, split screen on the go, very cool. Then they show true multiplayer on the go, where you can have multiple switches. It's going to take a while, but I'm going to keep calling it NX. Multiple switches next to each other, and it looks to play wireless multiplayer. They show off Splatoon in that way, and that is super cool. So this can be used as a home console single player, handheld single player, single unit split screen multiplayer, and multi-unit wireless multiplayer. And again, that's something that really is, I think, super appealing in that you can create whatever kind of gaming session you want at any time. Now, we know nothing about online. Nintendo's always struggled with their online infrastructure, so what does the Switch hold? We know that they're redoing their ecosystem for the shop and for the points, and so their whole like ID system will be redone and hopefully polished and made better. But will this be able to do online on the go? Is there going to be an LTE and a Wi-Fi model, or is it going to be only able to do online multiplayer when it's docked in the home console? My guess is that it's going to be Wi-Fi only, therefore it can be done in the home console format or in the handheld, provided you buy a hotspot, which to me makes the most sense. I don't want to deal with plans or that never works out. Don't do that, please. So then we get to see some games, and the best game, obviously, that people have been most anticipating is Breath of the Wild. It looks fantastic. It's hard to tell, exact fidelity on the screen, but from what we're shown, the screen looks absolutely amazing. Now, is this an actual picture of the screen with gameplay, or is it digitally, imposed on there? I don't know, but it looks very good, and I can't imagine it not looking good. They're really targeting the highest fidelity, best handheld experience you can possibly have, and I think if it can do near the same graphics as the home console, that's incredible. And if it looks at an Xbox One or PS4 level, taking that on the go is multiple steps up from the Vita, and therefore delivers the most insane handheld experience. Now, obviously, iPhones and Galaxies can deliver very good graphics from a mobile standpoint, but you're not going to have the AAA games like Breath of the Wild on the go on your iPhone 7 or your Galaxy Note, oops, it exploded 7, on the go. So the Switch 1-ups it there, 2-ups it, 3-ups it, 4-ups it, because now you're playing full-on experiences. And the best one they showed was freaking new Mario. He's in a Western setting. It shows explorative open levels, but still having some structure. It is not perspective driven like Super Mario 3D World. So this is a true full-on 3D blowout Mario sequel, or new Mario, however you want to frame that. And to me, the vibe I get is that it's not going to be Western themed entirely. It's going to be a travels through time type theme. If you remember, there was a Mario, travels in time game back on the Super Nintendo, where Mario was missing, and that was what Luigi's goal was, to find him through history. And it was more of an educational game with very little gameplay. But what if this is a travels through time type thing, or it's a Mario 128/256/ whatever you want to call it, 4K/1080p, where it's basically like Mario 64 with a variety of worlds that you enter that each have their own theme. That is my hope. I really would love a Mario 64 2, or whatever they want to call it, Mario Switch. I hope that they actually don't use that name. Wii and Wii U were very easy back-end sort of names to put on the end of any sort of game. So you had Batman Wii U, or you had Mario Kart Wii U. You could do that. They didn't always do it, but it was an easy cop-out. I don't think Switch has the same ring to it on a title standpoint. I love the name of the console as a whole, but I don't really want to see Zelda Switch, Mario Switch. So I think you just call the games what they are, and they happen to be on the Switch, similar to the other consoles. But that Mario game looks super dope. I hope it is a true like sequel to Mario 64, where there are many explorative worlds and explorable worlds, and you can access them, whether it's through a painting system. I hope it's not through a map system, because I would prefer just a seamless world that has different doors or different portals to these new lands. We also saw Skyrim HD the remaster, and we saw NBA 2K17. Now, that is great to know that Bethesda and 2K, two major publishers, are on board early and often. Now, it's not the typical Ubisoft Rayman Raving Rabbids, which is, I think, a good sign. Showing Skyrim is a tentpole title that really appeals to hardcore fans. NBA 2K17, again, a tentpole title. These are games that this console needs to have to be mainstream successful and to be mass appeal successful. Again, Nintendo struggled with that mightily on the Wii U and somewhat with the Wii, but very much so on the Wii U. Will this have insane third-party support? I doubt it. But will it have better third-party support than the Wii U? Absolutely. I think the fact that you can get these games and take them with you is going to be very appealing to developers and publishers, because it encourages and increases the amount of time that the gamer can spend with the game. Now, if you look at DLC, microtransactions, expansion packs, all of this is in effort to keep gamers on the same game for as long as possible, invested in the ecosystem of whatever title they are excited about. So being able to take it with you anywhere, having split screen, having multiplayer, that really falls right in line with that thought process of hooking the player and keeping them locked into your system for as long as possible. So if I can take Fallout 5 on the go with me, if I can take, Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition or whatever on the go with me, if I can take Skyrim Remastered, if I can take Watch Dogs 2, if I can take Red Dead Redemption 2 on the go with me, that logs more hours and encourages me to play more. And this is not limiting, as far as we know, to games that have a heavy multiplayer focus. I think that's why they chose to show NBA 2K17, because that's something that can be played, and you don't want to split screen that. That would be very awkward. So you have two separate screens, or you can play that on the same screen, and that's a very big get for them. They can get the Maddens of the world, they can get the Call of Duties, the Titanfalls, things like that. It'll be huge. Now, they also showed the date, and it's still committed in March 2017. I think this firmly cements that there is no delay. The fact that they revealed this much about the system today on October 20th, the fact that they still have 5 months to go, the fact that they showed Breath of the Wild, New Mario, Skyrim, NBA, this is not getting delayed till the fall. They would not be showing those games if it was being delayed till fall 2017. There would be no point in doing that, and Nintendo has previously committed to this deadline in their investor calls, and now officially in the launch trailer, the reveal trailer. This thing is coming March 2017, which is incredibly awesome. Now, one thing we didn't get much information on is what kind of guts are in that base station. Is there any sort of enhancement, any sort of power boost, any sort of CPU or GPU boost within that dock? I'm going to venture to say no, because it looked like you're just literally sticking the NX into basically a charging, or the Switch, the handheld, into a charging port that then also has TV output. So my guess is that it basically functions as a charging port, and then also allows you to output to the television. Because I don't see any, I'm looking at the picture right now, and I don't see any way or where that this thing, could have like huge ability to, there is, I guess, a sizable back port, but it looks like you can plug in controllers, like there's some sort of like USB type port. Maybe it is housing something, though. I don't know. The front end is very thin, but the back end is thick enough where it could. Is it just a big power brick to charge effectively and efficiently? I don't know. When he removes it, there still is a lot of stuff there. So we'll have to wait and see if there is any sort of power boost. Now, the cartridges are very akin to 3DS cartridges. At least that's what they look like, either SD cards or 3DS cartridges. And good news, gummy bears, the thumbsticks look very nice. They don't look like sort of the half thumbsticks that the Vita has, because of the fact that these are detachable controllers, and it's not something that is placed directly on the face of the screen. That screen, it's very hard to tell size-wise. The rumor has been that it's a 6-inch screen, which I think is a plenty big size, very good size. That makes it quite large. 7 inches, 6 to 7 inches is what I would want to see. The fact that they can do split screen tells me it's probably closer to 7 inches. Anyhow, it looks really, really good. And it does look like, now that I'm watching this on second playthrough, that you can just play split screen with only one pair of controllers, because you can flip them sideways. Again, adding to the functionality. They really seem to want to do it all with one system. And if this comes in at a reasonable price point, something like $300, where you're getting basically the next evolution of the 3DS and the next evolution of the Wii U with all of Nintendo's tentpole titles, and then also solid third-party support, I think this is an amazing package. Obviously, we also see Amiibo in the trailer, so we know that's going to be a major part of this. And I'm guessing you'll just touch it to the NX or the Switch screen. It is interesting that you do have that form factor where you can just sort of slap the controllers onto basically this middle like slab, and then it becomes a makeshift home console controller. So my guess is that's what's coming in the box, and then you can buy that quote real controller as an accessory. It would be great if they gave that with you as to you in the box as well, but I doubt that they do. Now, one thing to point out is that Nintendo has abandoned any sort of like fun and fancy kitty look with this system. The controllers all bear a black and silver, black and gray and white control or color scheme. The screen itself is very sleek black. Even the system, the base station, is black with an embossed logo. Now, the actual Nintendo marketing material is very red, and you'll see that the Switch logo there is red and white, which I think is a very powerful look. It really calls back to the NES days and sort of Nintendo's Power days, which is great news. But I think it's interesting to note that they abandon all sorts of color when it comes to the actual system. Now, is there going to be a red version, a white version, a Mario version with Toads all over it? Maybe, possibly, probably not. But I think it's good that this is now something that looks like it can, sit right on your TV stand or right next to your Xbox One or right next to your PS4 and not look out of place, not look like it's, the box for your little brother or your little cousin or your kid or, something you have to hide or be embarrassed about. It looks very good. It looks very legit. And I love what they've done with it. All in all, I think this is a huge success. Now, there's still plenty to be deciphered and discovered about this. Primarily, what is the launch lineup? How exactly does the battery life work? Is there any sort of boost within that base station? What is the actual specs of the handheld versus the home console? What are the graphics really like in person? But all in all, I think they knocked it out of the park. I think anything that they could have done, they did here. I think in terms of putting together a 3-minute video that encapsulates what this is and building hype in just the right ways, they did it without saying anything. Which is great. There's not any sort of, in-your-face Reggie speak. There's not any sort of, really esoteric, we would like to play. It shows gameplay. It shows functionality, and it shows adults using it. Did you notice that they chose to focus very much on 20, 30-something-year-old people? Only in one instance are there like school-age kids playing that? Well, not. I don't even know if they're school age. I guess they are. I guess in the Splatoon team situation, although those could be college kids. They chose to focus that this is a system for adults as well, and I think that speaks hugely to our hopes for how they deliver on a gameplay and online front, because this is conscious. Nintendo usually does things in weird ways and makes a lot of mistakes and says, like, to hell with it, we don't care what the market dictates, we're going to do our own thing. And they make the goofy, like, oh, I had too many donuts, oh, this little kid took over Nintendo. Look at what they did here. Look at the color scheme, look at the music, look at the mood, look at the shots, look at the filters, look at the actors that they chose to show here, look at the things that they emphasize: plane travel, esports, guy and girl, at home in your apartment. They really emphasized that this is a system for adults. And I'm sure they will obviously make the push towards kids, and especially in countries like Japan where handhelds are really, really huge, this will be a win. It also allows Nintendo to unify their ecosystem, and no longer do you have to split titles across 3DS and Wii U. So in case there isn't the greatest third-party support, you now have all the developers on board from Nintendo making games, and you don't have to worry about feeding two marketplaces at once. You don't have to feed two fish. You just have one gigantic shark in the middle that hopefully can tear it up. And again, if they launch with Breath of the Wild and they launch with Mario, that is humongous. If they can also get support of new titles from other major studios and publishers around that time frame, so say you get Mass Effect Andromeda on this thing, with its suspected March release date, say you get For Honor on this thing with its February release date, you're looking at a very, very marketable system that now does not have to be the Me Too console, but can be the console. And in effect, it could be the number one console because it does more. It officially does more because it can be taken on the go, and that's something that PS4 and Xbox One cannot say. Is it super innovative? Is it super gimmicky? Is it something that blows our minds? No, but I think they did it in a way that is super effective, and I think that from a polish and a presentation standpoint, they nail this home run. And I think it shows that they are in line and on track with what we want. And that's critical and huge, because most people, the big fear is that, Nintendo's going to do something crazy. They're going to do something outlandish. They're going to do something that really goes against and rebels with what we want or what we expect or what we hope for. It looks like they really kind of are just delivering here. And that feels weird, because it's not something Nintendo has done for years. The Wii was a very strange, life cycle of a system, and ebbed and flowed in a lot of usually downward ways. And it delivered some fantastic games like Splatoon and like Mario Kart 8 and like Super Mario 3D World, but it didn't really perform or put out in the way that Nintendo fans or just gaming fans would have wanted. The gamepad turned out to be nothing more than a mirroring device. It didn't ever really pan out to be that super sweet second device that they wanted. And here, hey, look, they just abandoned it. Now, we don't know if this is a touchscreen. I think that's also going to be a critical point. There is no point in this trailer, though, where anyone touches the screen. And I think if they want to keep this screen looking shiny, looking sleek, and as much as functionality on phones is huge and people are used to touchscreens, I think if this thing is not a touchscreen, it is more appealing to the hardcore gamer, because it removes all gimmick. It removes all motion. It removes all of that. I think if I had to place my money on it, I would say that this probably still is a touchscreen. But then again, I don't know, because if the games... There was a fear that the games would be just sort of minigame versions of themselves on the go and the main thing's still at home. But that's not the case. This is a one-to-one transition, because the cartridge is still going in that handheld. So at all times, this is the full game. And therefore, I think having no touchscreen makes really good sense and is a really strong, sort of marketing omission. Sometimes less is more, and sometimes you need to not have features in order to deliver your strongest product. And I think by not having a touchscreen, it shows that they are looking to make a very serious gaming device. And I think if they want to sell millions of these, that's what they need to do. I'm very curious to see everyone's reactions about what this is like and what the investor analysis and the analyst analysis is, and sort of the mainstream analysis. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people poo-pooing it. That's just always the case with Nintendo. But I think there will also be a lot of people very hyped, and I think that they delivered an excellent A+ of a 3-minute video. Super excited to see when the full blowout direct, when the hands-on event, hopefully I can go. Dear God, please, Nintendo, I love you so much. It will be super cool to see all of that, and I would love to be able to bring you guys more info and more analysis and more impressions. But for now, I think they really are on the right path. It could go awry at any moment, of course. Once everything's revealed, there could be some nail in the coffin, but I don't see that happening. I think if you look at this very carefully and analyze and inspect all of their choices, all of their decisions, and all of their intentionality with this video, again, esports, adults, multiplayer, single player, on the go, fitting into your life and appealing to you wherever you are, with tons of form factor options and games that cover the spectrum of Zelda, Skyrim, NBA, Splatoon, and a brand new Mario. This is a magical day for gaming, not just for Nintendo, but for gaming. Truly the first hybrid we've ever seen, and nothing quite like this has been done. It is not remote play. It is not stream play. It is true hybrid 2-in-1 play, where this thing can be taken with you wherever you go. And I'm going to be playing Zelda Breath of the Wild on the plane, on my couch, in my bed, in my office, at my house in Indiana, at my apartment in California, on the beach, waiting in line at Disney, wherever I am, the movie theater, a restaurant, the bus. This thing is coming with me, and it's everything I wanted it to be. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a detailed look and maybe even piqued your brain on some things you didn't think about. If you want more NX coverage, more Switch coverage, let me know in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up button if you had fun today. Curious to know your thoughts as well, so don't be afraid to speak your truth in the comments down below. The Switch is here. The NX is here. And we have a brand new console coming in March 2017. I couldn't be more excited. So thank you guys and girls for being amazing. I love you so much. Have a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate. Until next time, the freaking Nintendo Switch is here. And so we will see you all later.